C-Topher Central. It's the place to be. Enjoy yourself, why don't you? Greetings. Welcome back to the second episode of C-Topher Central. you think the second episode would be a little easier, and it is in some ways, but in other ways it's more difficult. There is now a foundation to work from, and that's exciting. I've done this before, and I'm going to do it again, but it's still, there's still that woohoo, I'm recording right now, woohoo, you're listening to me talking. That feeling is still there. Trying out some new things today. As you can hear, we got some, background music. Look at me, I'm fancy and official now. And most importantly, today's episode is going to be a little more focused, less scatterbrained, less all over the place. It still might go that way, but it would be more centered towards one certain topic. And today, it's going to get a little educational. Just a little bit. No promises. Some promises. Maybe. We'll see. So with that being said, let's get this show on the road. Or should I say, let's get this podcast on blast. Now, as you can infer from the title, this is going to be about a very important acronym. An acronym which I invented, by the way, so no looking this up because it doesn't exist. And if it does, well, I should have fact-checked first. But anywho, this acronym is called, drumroll please. Where are my drums? They're out of the budget. Okay. Well, we'll make do. Anyway, sad that we don't have drums, but regardless, the acronym is CLAMP. That is C-L-A-M-P, CLAMP, or the full name, the CLAMP method. And representing our first letter today, we have, I did my own drum roll, composure. Now, Chris, what is the definition of composure? Well, for those who are too lazy to Google it yourselves, I got you. Basically, it means it's the state of being or feeling calm and in control of oneself. That is the definition of composure. So, cool, Chris. Dumb that down for me. Basically, it means that you're chill. You're mentally in a place where it's like, I got this, everything's gonna be okay. Whew. That's what composure is. It's that being okay feeling, not being riled up mentally. Now, why is this first? You may be asking. Why is this the first thing that you're bringing to our attention? Well, it's because of the fact that without composure, you can't do anything else. Simple as that. The rest of this acronym is just basically worthless without composure. That was a bit of a redundant sentence, but regardless, it's true. So, I'm going to tell you how to do this most effectively. Picture this with me. You're coming back from lunch, and you have to go to work, right? You have to go to work. You have to go to a class. You have to do something that's obnoxious, something you don't want to do. But it's very important for your future or whatever the case may be. It's very important that you do this. So, what do? Do you whine and complain, oh, I hate doing this. I hate working at wherever I'm working at. I hate going to math class. You could. But is it going to benefit you? No, it won't. Because you're still going to have to do it anyway. And, that's just the truth. So, why not do it to the best of your ability? and make whatever the chore may be something enjoyable. Just make it fun. There's no reason not to. So I know what you're thinking. Well, okay, Chris, thank you. But how do I do these things, I'm glad you asked, Random Stranger, because I got you. Some methods to compose yourself. There are a variety of ways, and ultimately it boils down to what works for you. Some people, they have a very complex, premeditated system that takes them a billion years. Other people can just do it instantly. And they're both right. It's whatever works with you. But some popular methods, deep breathing. You'll hear a lot of in for 4, out for 4, or something, in through your nose, out through your mouth, whatever, right. Well, I say this. Whatever works, right. But what I typically do is in for 4, hold for 7, and then out for 8. And if you have really bad lungs, number 1, I'm sorry, and number 2, you can just you breathe in for a random number, and then you breathe out for twice that number. So you breathe in for 2, out for 4, in for 3, out for 6, in for 4, out for... I actually learned that one from my theater director. Hi. She's probably not listening, but hi. It was very helpful, especially when you're about to go on stage and then, you're getting a little nervous. You got to recollect yourself, and then you give the best performance possible. And that was only possible because I was able to compose myself. So there's deep breathing. Another method you could do is still kind of a mental thing, but you tell yourself something, You have some sort of key phrase, some focusing words. And when you tell yourself these things, it helps get your mind to the right headspace to be successful, whatever the case may be. So for example, you could say, okay, well, I don't want to do this, but think about my future. If I get this done, I can do this, and I can finally get to this, or whatever the case may be. And you go through that narrative with yourself, and you get yourself pumped up and motivated. And then it becomes exciting. And then you're like, yes, I want to do this. Even though it's going to suck now, it's going to be great later. That's the objective. You want to find the excitement. And then, bam, it's a lot easier to be more receptive to whatever it may be. So, those are 2 good methods. Again, there are a bajillion other ones. Whatever works for you, works for you. But those are the 2 that I mainly think about and or use in my life. The next letter on our list, being the letter L, has a word that has so many meanings to it that honestly I probably could and probably will make an entire episode just about this one word. I'm going to write that down. But anyway, living in this exact moment, we have the word, drum roll please, listen. Yup, listen. This word is so important, so vital to anything that it's just, ooh-wee. It had to be there. It had to be there. Listening is how communication occurs. You cannot just talk and not listen. And there's a reason for that. And there's also another reason why you can't talk and listen. Because listening is more important and it requires more attention. It requires more focus. And when I say listen, I don't mean I'm listening, listen. I mean comprehension listening. Because the first thing I just said, I'm listening, that's called hearing. That is not listening. You are hearing. And there is a very, very vital difference. But when one is actually listening and actively listening so that they can take in the information because they want to take it in, which is why composing yourself was so important, because you're prepping yourself to listen. When you're doing that, it opens up a world of possibilities to your critical thinking abilities. That rhymed. That's funny. Anyway, your comprehension skills, everything. Listening is very important. And recently, my teacher told me that from a research thingamajigger experiment done. Don't quote me on this because this is from what I heard from someone else hearing about something else. But when we are having a conversation, we spend about 60% of our brain power thinking about what we are going to say. Because, that's just how we work. Rather than actively trying to listen to what the person is saying, and then processing that to the best of our abilities, and then speaking. I say all that to say, without listening and active listening, we're not going anywhere. We'll find ourselves repeating what other people have said, and then wasting our own time and others. We'll find ourselves stuck on certain concepts that we don't need to be stuck on if we just listened and paid attention. And most importantly, when we listen and we try to comprehend not just what is being said, but the meaning behind what is said, the more nuanced details of the speech, then you're able to maybe even spread that deep level knowledge to other people. And it can be a nice little positive feedback loop. Seems a little idealistic, but it's true. And it's very important. This world would be like 20 times better off if people spent more time listening and understanding and not hearing, not just hearing. Like, yeah, I heard you. No, don't hear me. Listen to what I have to say. Listen. I'm not going to go on because I could go on for a whole 30 years on listening. Because, next letter. Halfway there. And repping for the letter A, we have the word application. Woohoo! Chris, help. This word you've spoken, it's dauntingly big. It's horrifying. I need you to break it down for me. Okay, well, I'm not going to Google this one because I just might be able to answer this. But application essentially is just finding a purpose for something and being able to use it, So, addition, right? 1 + 1 is 2. Cool, I know that now. I listened to the teacher when they told me that. Honestly, that was a bad example. I think all babies were born knowing that 1 + 1 were 2. But, the multiplication, the concept of multiplication, right? You learn that in school. Yippee, yeah, I know it, right? But now you got to go find a use for it. Suddenly you're counting money, and rather than counting all of your dollar bills one by one, you use multiplication subconsciously, and you see, oh, okay, I have a 5. I have 7 5s. That's $35. Multiplication, right then and there, right? That's a simple example. Application is very, very important. I don't think it's as important as listening, because, And I think it's more important than composure, because composure helps you do everything else, but application is where the action happens, right? That's where you get results. That's where the magic occurs. So to best highlight this example, I'm going to go ahead and give you a story about my life. Let your efforts and your time be for nothing. Why do something if it doesn't benefit you or anything? I mean, I don't mean benefit you as in like selfish, you're the most important thing on the planet, that's what I'm saying, but like, if there was no point in doing something, why do it? Right? So find an application for it, and by doing so, you may even unlock some sort of secret talent that you weren't aware of, or perhaps you influence somebody by accident because you just decided to apply a certain thing and someone saw that. For me, in my personal life, I love juggling. I've said this before, but I love juggling. I can juggle a lot of things. And for most of my life, that has had no practical purpose outside of mine and the few people who see me do it. Their entertainment. It's just like, I can juggle. See, look, woohoo, that's cool. Juggle in class. I have very, very chill teachers. Woohoo. But yeah, I'd stand in the back corner of the classroom and just juggle, right? But like, where's the purpose in that, Chris? Like, okay, cool, you can juggle. If anything, you're being a distraction. Yes and no. Well, last year, my show choir requested that I juggle for them because I can juggle, and they needed a juggler in their show. So now, what started off as something that I just did for, random fun because I knew how to juggle and I was just doing it, because of the fact that I was doing it all the time and I really honed my skill and I was able to find applications for it, I went off and juggled for a show choir set. Isn't that incredible? I wouldn't have seen that coming in years, but it happened. And of all things, juggling too. Me, juggling, right? It seems random, but it's real life, Sometimes things happen in a way that works out for you. And if you're not able to apply certain skills in a certain way, then you might miss out on certain opportunities. So, yeah, keep that in mind. The next letter on the chopping block is the letter M. Now, the word that represents the letter M is something that one could argue should have came earlier. In fact, as I'm thinking about it right now, I could have called this, instead of the clamp method, the McClap method. But that sounds silly, and it's not a word. And it really doesn't matter, because it works here. So this is a little conceptual, so work with me here. But the word in case is, I'm going to bang on a different surface so it sounds more drummy. Anyway, it's motivation. Now I can see the gears turning in your head. You're probably thinking, Chris, what? Yeah, it doesn't go here. Well, trust me, it does. Just listen. Just listen and hear me out. Just listen. Consider the following. Motivation is something that can happen at any given moment on any given day, right? Right. Sometimes you wake up, I'm going to have a great day. Sometimes you wake up, I'm not going to have a great day. Sometimes you wake up and you go about your day and you don't care. Other times you go to school. It's going to be a great day at school. I'm going to do all of my work. It's going to be awesome. And other days it's like, I just want to go home. Sometimes it's more the latter than the prior, but regardless, motivation exists, right? It happens all the time, kind of spontaneously. But I'm here to tell you that doesn't have to be the case. You can actually harness motivation. It takes a little bit of skill, a bit of an open mind, if you will. That rhymed. But it's possible. It's what I do. And it's one of the key components that makes this acronym work the way that it does. When you're motivated, right? So let's go through the list. We're composed, right? We're ready to do what we need to do. We were listening. Awesome. We have the information in our brain and it's doing the things that it should be doing. And we have found some applications for it, right? We are doing our homework. We are benefiting the economy. We're doing whatever we're doing. But if we're not motivated, if we're not able to understand the purpose behind what we're doing, and if we're not fully driven to accomplish the end goal, then all of that awesomeness, it's gonna fizzle. It's gonna go away. It may not happen instantly, but it's inevitable. Let's go back to the math example, right? Say it's a good day, right? You're ready to go to math class because you usually hate it, but you just feel like you're gonna get it today, right? And you're doing great. You're learning the concept for whatever the day may be, and you're doing the homework. It all makes sense to you. It's one of those rare days of math where everything is just beautiful, and you're the smartest person on the planet. Go you. If I had the budget for extra people, we'd be clapping for you. But then you go home, and you sit at your table, your desk, your floor, your bed, wherever you do your work at. And as you look at the same math you did from that day, you realize that I don't feel like it. You realize that you don't care. You realize that you're trying to be not an accountant, not a scientist, but you want to grow up and be a traffic guard. Okay, well, I don't need math. And so you sit there and you do your homework. Kind of bad, actually. You don't really do a good job on your homework because you just, not that you don't want to succeed, but just because you lost the spark. And so now you're sitting there and you go back to class the next day and the rest of the week, and soon all the days blur into one. Math loses its purpose in your life because you can't find a reason for it, beyond the basic addition, subtraction, multiplication. And so you're depressed because you have to take math again. And then you're back in the cycle where math sucks, right? But whatever happened to that, woohoo, I'm ready for math and it's fun and it's glory and woohoo, math, and well, it's gone because you weren't motivated. Sheesh, Chris, that was depressing. I thought it was supposed to be a lighthearted podcast filled with joy and positivity. What? That was terrible. Well, okay, calm down. I know it seems a little extreme. I know that was a little intense, just a little bit. But let me help you out, right? As I just said, you can harness motivation. How do you do that? You have to find it. You have to change your perspective. So let's take math, right? Now, before you go into the spiral of negativity involving math, you have to think to yourself, okay, I'm doing the homework. What am I doing this for? Okay, I want to be a plumber. That has nothing to do with math. What did I say? A plumber? A plumber does have something to do with math. A traffic guard, yeah, right? I have this desire of being a traffic guard, right? I don't need to study this math. Okay, well, think about it this way. You're trying to graduate from high school. You're trying to get out of this math class, right? At the very bare minimum, you're trying to get out of the class. You're trying to pass. You're trying to make it through the school year. And sure, you may not try to go far with your mathematical mathness of Mathingham, but shoot, you don't want to take the class. And if you fail the class, you might have to take it again. And that enough should be enough motivation for you to just, I don't know, do the best you can and at least find some spark within yourself, ignite a fire. If there's not one there, put one there. And plus, you never know how your future's going to go. Sure, you may want to be a traffic guard now, but then say in 2 years, you may meet this one guy and he's really, really, really smart. And then you guys go into a business together and then all of a sudden you're an accountant. And then now you have to know how to do math. And because you studied this complicated math that you didn't really care about at the time, and you studied it with a passion, you were able to find the nuanced details and fun stuff with it. And then, woohoo, I was motivated and I was successful and then it paid off. Again, that also sounds unrealistic and idealistic, but still, things are possible, okay? Things are possible, and a little bit on a smaller scale. It's always true that you don't know what's going to happen in your life. And it's good to be motivated with almost all that you do so that you're able to fully maximize what you have inside of you. I think that was a coherent sentence. Yes, that was a coherent sentence. It's a little tough. I will be honest with you. I'm not going to act like it's not easy. Yeah, just be motivated because there are things in life where it just really sucks. I know for me, I have a hard time with English classes because it gets repetitive. You read the article, you write an essay, you read the article, you answer some questions, you read the poetry, and then you answer some questions. You read a book and you answer some questions. And it's like, what am I doing this for? Am I practicing on how to read? Because I know how to read. Am I practicing on how to write? I did a pretty good job at demonstrating that I can write. Am I just is this just skill maintenance? Like, what's the point? So I understand, but I also know that I'm going to apply these skills in some way, shape, or form in my future, you know? And with being able to practice all these skills in school to the best of my ability, I'm ready for whatever may come my way in life. Because there's going to be days where I'm going to have to write essays. College is coming around the corner for me. I have to write some college essays. I might become an artist. Nope, not an artist. That's possible too. And Arthur, there we go. Is it Arthur? It's author. Author, there we go. Might become an author. I think Arthur is a name. And I write books. I'm already making a podcast. This is technical stuff right here. And this skill wouldn't have happened if, actually, I can't really point this to a class, but I guarantee you what I'm doing now is going to help me in the future. So it's always nice to just try and open your mind to the possibility that what you're doing at the moment will impact you in a positive way in the future if you let it. And wrapping up our acronym with the last letter, the letter P. If you thought motivation was a bit of a reach, well, I'm here to tell you that it wasn't, because the letter P, well, it's a bit more of a reach, but I also have a better way of explaining this one. So, without further ado, we have the word ponder. Yup, the word ponder. Now, those who know me, those who really spend time with me in my classes or just in my life, like my close family and some close classmates, they know that I like to think. I am a thinker. And that more often than not, you can find me lost in thought. I am on a roll today with these rhymes. But yes, I am a thinker. And I zone out, not because I'm bored, not because I don't care about what's going on around me, but because sometimes I'm so enamored by just the boundaries of reality that it's just, sometimes you have to let things process and digest. And that's where all of this acronym wraps up. Ponder is, I guess, technically speaking, the most important piece of this entire acronym, technically speaking. Because with pondering, it's not just about, your motivation, your application, your listening, or anything like that. It's just about considering all that you've done up to this point and thinking about how it can go beyond. It's the next step that leads you back into the beginning of the cycle. Let's go back to the juggling example, right? When I was talking about application and how, because I was able to take my skill of juggling and hone it and practice for years and years and years, it was eventually put to use in my show choir set, right? That's what happened. Motivation. The motivation piece of that would be, wow, I was able to entertain, maybe not millions, but a lot of people. And I was also able to help amplify the scores of the entire show because of my ability. Isn't that awesome? And yeah, it was a little stressful. I dropped an apple, which is what I was juggling. But big picture, it was awesome, right? And the desire to entertain people is what motivates me, right? So now we have the ponder piece. How do we connect ponder with this? Well, now we think, what's next? How can we go beyond? What skills, what life lessons did I learn from that experience? I learned to be prepared. I learned how to handle, an audience. Yes, I'm in show choir, and yes, I'm a performer, and yes, I'm in theater. I'm not new to stages, but sometimes the nerves get to you. And I learned how to compose myself more, and when to compose myself. I learned to not kind of zone out when you're on stage and to really engage with the audience. All these lessons that can be taken away from what I did. And then to take it a step further is where the true essence of pondering comes into. Because now you think, okay, well, cool, I was able to juggle, right? Well, maybe now I can go on and teach people how to juggle. Maybe now I can go on and learn how to juggle even more objects at once. Maybe now I can go start a podcast and talk about my experiences. All these different things. It's like the time. Ponder is like time. It's the essence that cements everything you've done together so that it sticks, so that it really locks itself into place, and so that it's at its most useful for you. So then when you go on and do something else, you can build off of this foundation that you built and make something even greater. I hope that makes sense. It's like building a house. You don't start with the roof. You start with the foundation. You start with the bricks. You put the bricks down. You compose yourself. You're getting ready to build a house. You listen. You go to school for years. You get a degree in engineering and construction and all that good jazz, and you do the work. That's the application. And why are you building this house? So that people can live here, so you can advance the economy, so you can get paid, right? But then now you built the house and you think, what's next? Do I build a neighborhood? Do I build a roof? Do I finish the house? It can be a very broad what's next. It could be what's the next step? What's next? Whatever the case may be. It's case by case, really. So, ponder. Take the time to really think about where you've come from, where you are now, and where you're going to go next, and how all the things that you have currently available to you got you there, and maybe consider some lessons you've learned along the way, so that when you go on to the next step, you're ready. You're giving yourself a head start, an advantage. When you walk back into math class, not only did you do your homework, but you thought about the homework. You thought about the key concepts of math entirely. So now, bam, teacher is teaching the concepts, and you kind of already know what they're talking about because you thought really hard about the math, and it all makes even more sense. It's a positive feedback loop. And with this positive feedback loop, assuming you're doing it correctly, it's just going to keep happening and happening and happening until the end of time, where everything explodes because you're just so productive and so amazing that your awesomeness will continue to spread throughout generation after generation, because people are going to look up to you because of this system that you decided to take upon your life. And then the world will improve itself. So that's just a simple truth. That's just a simple truth. Or rather, my very, very, very accurate opinion. Take it how you will. So to recap, we have C. C is composure. Taking the time to get yourself in the right headspace. Mentally, you will be there all the way so that you can do the best you can going forward with whatever task you're going to do. L is for listening. Not just hearing, but actively listening and comprehending and processing the information in a way that is meaningful and useful and understood to you as an individual. And then we have A, which is application, finding a use for these things that you're doing, whatever the case may be, but finding a use for it, honing the abilities and using it to benefit whatever the benefit is. Serving food, you're benefiting the society and whatnot. You're doing homework, you're benefiting your education, just benefits of the benefits. M is for motivation, understanding why you're doing it and finding a reason, finding a why. Because it's really hard to do things when you don't have a reason why to do it. And that's true. And finally, P, which is ponder. Consider going beyond where you are, the next step, the loop of the cycle, if you will, getting you prepared for what's to come and helping you cement what you already know and where you are, giving you a head start on your next endeavor. And as this episode comes to a close, I would like to say thank you for giving me your time again today. I hope you enjoyed the content. A bit educational. Hope you kept up. I hope you liked how more focused it was. And if you're curious, the inspiration came from the fact that, well, I just felt like it. I felt like sharing it. I was thinking about it. And I recently got an award for being smart, essentially. And so I figured that was enough credibility to at least share something, you know. I'm not bad when it comes to academics. I'm not terrible when it comes to being focused and getting things done and being productive. So I thought, well, there are people out there who maybe don't struggle, but they would like some additional help. So, in case you were curious, that was the inspiration. And, drum roll please, it is time for the most important part of the podcast, the random fun fact. So, I did not give myself a drum roll. Drum roll please. Did you know that the chainsaw was not invented for cutting wood? It was actually invented for the sake of childbirth and labor complications. It's pretty crazy, huh? It wasn't until later, we'll just say later, that they was like, you know what, we have safer ways to do this. We're going to go ahead and just move this one over to chopping trees because this is pretty efficient at its job. I'm not going to get into more detail because it's gross. But yeah. So with that being said, toodaloo a buckaroo.